Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Pate, and first and foremost I would like to thank you all for being here this evening. Now, the topic that I've come to address today is that of corporal punishment. Corporal punishment is punishment that parents take out on their children in the form of punching, pinching, kicking, most commonly spanking. Now, despite numerous studies and warnings, most parents still consider this an effective method to teach their children with. And unfortunately, it has not yet become reasonable enough to consider it abuse. However, that does not make it any less bad. A recent 5-year study conducted by the American Psychological Association stated that parents and guardians should effectively reduce and eliminate all forms of physical punishment, as stated by Karen Schrock in her article, "Should Parents Spank Their Children?" The reason that corporal punishment is so bad is because there are many side effects that occur later in life, and even some immediate ones, such as when children become afraid, their learning immediately halts, as stated by John Holt in his book, How Children Learn. The side effects that occur later in life include turning to a life of crime, fighting with other children in their class, or ultimately becoming depressed and suicidal, among other mental issues that could occur, as stated by Dr. Kirby T. Alvey in our article, Punishment and Verbal Aggressions. Because children learn through parental modeling, physical punishment gives the message that hitting is an appropriate expression of feelings, as stated by Jan Hunt in her 10 Reasons Parents Should Not Spank Their Kids. This is obviously a major issue. If children are hit, then there's a good chance that they will later think that this is okay, this is what I can do, and they will go to class and they'll solve their problems through violence. And even some few resulted to abusing their spouses when they got older. Now, the reason that many parents give for continuing to enforce corporal punishment is that, well, my parents abused me, I turned out fine. Well, sure, you may have turned out okay, but not everybody is you. It simply does not work that way. Now, you may think, is there any other way to punish my child besides corporal punishment? Well, yes, there are many more appropriate and effective methods that could be used to punish your child if they are breaking the rules or committing some other wrongdoing. First and foremost, though, you must know how to punish your children. The children must be punished immediately after they commit what they did wrong, so that they will know that that is wrong and they should not do it again. And they should be punished appropriately, such as if a child refuses to just clean up their toys, then you should punish them by saying, no, you cannot play with your toys the rest of the day. And you must enforce these rules. You can't just simply say no and then later give in. Another common popular method of punishment is time out. Some people do not believe that this works. However, I'm here to tell you that it does. Timeout works because, or timeout doesn't work because many parents fail to enforce it. A child may simply continue to leave the timeout area, or the timeout sessions may not be long enough. One good method, as stated by Shara Carter in her article, Is Corporal Punishment Okay? Here are some alternate methods. Is that timeout should be enforced with increasing time spans, and you should not let the children leave the timeout space. If you punish them for, say, 30 minutes the first time, and they continue to get up, then increase that time limit to 45 minutes and eventually an hour, and they'll learn, I don't like this. I don't like just sitting here in a corner. And you can't simply punish them with timeout by sending them to their room where all their electronics are. Choose somewhere simple and in your view, like in a chair in the kitchen, and they will eventually get the point across. So, now I hope you all learned that corporal punishment is a terrible method of teaching children what is right and what is wrong, and that there are far better and more effective methods to punishing your child. Thank you for coming. That was my presentation. Jane?
So Andrew, from everything I've heard so far about corporal punishment, which one was most effective when you were an adolescent? Having your electronics taken or getting a spanking?
Well, personally, myself, even though my parents threatened to spank me, it never really happened. So I guess, well, I was never really punished with my electronics being taken away either. So you can't say that my parents were that great on the punishment side of things. However, one time I did say, like, give my mother my Game Boy and was like, well, I shouldn't have did what I did, so take this. And I promised not to do it again, and she was like, oh, okay. So I guess I thought that was bad. So that was probably the more effective of the two, and that fits with my previous argument that there are other better forms of punishment besides corporal punishment. Thank you for asking the question.